Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. I don't know about you, but I've seen a bunch of Facebook ads lately for these collapsible flowers, that are really big. And so I decided I wanted to try and make one. So this vase of flowers is about 14 inches tall by about 11 inches wide when it's flat. And then it stands up, and standing up, let me see. When it stands up, let me try and stand it up on its side. It's about 12 inches by 5.5. So it looks about like that when it's standing up. But it folds flat. Well, actually, it folds flat either that way or this way. It doesn't really matter. It's about the same size when it folds. So, and I got the flowers all cut up. But just like that. Let me show you how it's made. It's actually pretty easy to make. And if you didn't want it this big, you could scale it down. But in my earlier video, I don't know if you saw, I made one that's a little bit smaller, this one. And it's about 12 inches high, maybe by about 7 inches, or what is it? 9 inches wide by, yeah, about 12. So it's a little bit smaller than the other. So I decided I wanted to make a bigger one. And this one I just did with one side, so you really only see it from the front. So let me show you how I made it. So we start with two 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper. Well, one 8.5 by 11. So this is 8.5 by 11, and I scored at 1/2 inch. Well, I scored it this way actually, at 3.5, 7, and 10.5. Yeah, 8.5 by 11. So 3.5, 7, 10.5. So you got three 3.5 inch panels and a 1 inch glue flap. Okay. And then this one is also 11 inches wide, but it's only 6 inches high. So I took an 8.5 by 11 sheet, cut it down to 6 inches, and then again scored 3.5, 7, and 10.5. Now this is going to be your front, and this is going to be your back, but I want to angle these sides. So what I did is I want them to meet up at the 6 inch mark. So let me find a pencil. There we go. So don't measure on the outside. You got to measure on the score line down from the top, or well, really from the bottom. From one side, you got to measure 6 inches and put a mark. And then you're going to cut from there up to there. So you're going to cut that away. And same thing on the other side, except this one, there's no score line, so you just measure up from the bottom of the card to 6 inches. And then from that score line to that mark, you're going to cut that away. And that should, then when you put this on top, it's going to meet up at those corners. So you're going to get a nice kind of framed background. Now you can use your paper trimmer or scissors. I think I'll just cut this with my scissors. Probably would have been straighter with my paper trimmer, but that's okay. Okay. Now we're going to glue these pieces together. So you're going to glue your 1/2 inch glue tabs on each side together to make your vase. So let's glue that together. You want to get it straight on the bottom and on the edge, on the side. And then this one's a little bit easier because you can just put the glue on and then fold it flat and it'll and it should meet up. If you got everything else straight, then that'll be meet up. And that's your vase, essentially. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my matte and layer pieces on there. This is from the Farmhouse collection, and oh, I kind of like the pink too. No, I'll use this side. And I'm only going to mat the 3 pieces on the front because it really does have a front. It's not going to look as good from the back, obviously, because that's higher. You could make it straight across the bottom if you wanted, but I kind of liked the look of the higher. Now, if you watched my earlier video, the one that I showed you that was a little bit smaller, I used kind of an internal spring, paper spring type mechanism to fold it flat and to open it up. And you could do that with this one if you wanted. But I'm going to show you a little bit different way of doing it. So there's my vase. Now to get my inside pieces, I want some things that will fold flat and then open up. And what I did to do that is I started with 2 pieces of card that are 3 1/4 by 8 1/2, and you score at 1 inch and 3 1/2 inches, and then on both of them, and you can fold them like that. And then we're going to glue these back to back like this, and this is going to be your mechanism inside to I did not score that properly. One of these is not scored right. 1 and 3 1/2. Yeah. Okay, so each of these are scored at 1 and 3 1/2, and we're going to glue the long pieces together. And you really just want to make sure they're even at that bottom piece. If this is not even at the top or down these sides, it's not such a big deal, but you want them straight at the bottom. Okay, so it's going to look like that. This is going to glue inside your vase here and here, and that's going to give you your mechanism like that, and that's going to give you your mechanism. But I wanted 2 other pieces because I don't want just one thing to glue my flowers to, because I need 2 others. So I cut 4 pieces of paper, and these are, let's see, 3 inches wide by 5 1/2 inches high, and scored at 1/2 inch, right? Yeah. And we're going to glue those back to back too, and there's 2 of them, or well, 4, and so that there will be 2 of them. And I'm going to glue these back to back, and again get that bottom part straight. If they're not exactly straight on the side, it doesn't matter, but you want that bottom to be even. And do the same on this one. Okay, and then we're going to glue these in here, kind of right about in the middle. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, essentially in the middle. So put some glue on our little tabs. And we're going to glue that in just about there. And you want them just about an inch and a quarter apart, inch to an inch and a quarter apart. And then same on this side. And that's going to give me my 3, when this is inside the vase, it's going to go inside this way. And then that gives me my things to glue my flowers onto, my 3 things. But you can see these flop around and they don't stay apart. So I need something to hold them kind of apart, but it has to be able to collapse. So I took 2 pieces of card. These are 1 by 2, so 1 by 2, scored at 1/2 inch each side, and I'm just going to put those in between these. Okay, so your little 1 by 2 inch strips, you want to put on the center piece like that. Then fold them up, put glue on the little folded tabs, and pull these up. And now you've got your section, and it folds flat, but when it opens up, it'll keep them apart and it'll keep them nice and strong. Then we're going to glue this on the inside of here. So is that, I don't know if you can see that. So glue the 1 tab to the bottom, pointing down, so it comes up, over, and up. So glue this tab to the center, kind of right in the middle. Then put glue on the tabs, open them up, and fold it all up, and that'll stick it all down. Now we're going to put this inside here, and we're going to put glue on here and on the other one, and we're going to attach it right at that bottom inside the middle of that fold. Okay, so let's start with one side. How best to do this so you can see. So put it inside there. And I'll show you once I get it down. Okay, so it's that 1 inch tab is right here, and you just glue it in so that it's flush on the bottom and it's centered within that 3.5 inch score line. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So put the glue on this one. That's that 1 inch tab. Put it in, kind of center it, put it even with the bottom, and press it down. And then it should all fold flat, just like that. Or, I mean, technically you could fold it that way too, but I fold them this way. And then that gives me my centerpiece that I can mount flowers to. Now, because these are not that wide, because you can't make them any wider than this, but I wanted them a little bit wider spot to put flowers on. I just cut little 1.5 inch strips, and 6 inches, one 1.5 by 6 and two 1.5 by 5. And I'm just going to glue these onto each of these just to give you a little bit of extra surface area to glue stuff onto. And you just want to kind of center them up. And there's not much to it other than it's just something else to glue flowers to. That's the only purpose of it. You don't have to do it if you don't want, but and then just like in the other one, I cut some little like green grassy pieces, and these are about 4.25 inches high by this 2 at 5.5 and 1 at 8. And I'm going to glue those inside onto these pieces, and that just gives me a little bit of filler in there that helps kind of fill out the space between the flowers. So we're just going to center it up and press it down to that little cross piece. And same for this one. And again, you don't have to do this, but I liked the look of it because I felt like it added some filler in there, which I thought was needed. Otherwise, the flowers don't necessarily fill it all out. Okay, let's see. That looks, I mean, it gives you a good start already. Okay. Now I've got a bunch of flowers. Now this one I used mostly just flat flowers. These were just kind of some daisies that I cut. I actually cut with my Cricut. These all I made from Crafter's Companion dies. Well, sort of. They're the 3D flower dies that came with the templates for the larger sizes. And so these are all from the templates for the larger sizes. And I did kind of a bunch of different types of flowers. So you can see I got a bunch of different ones in different sizes, in different colors. And I did a little bit of inking, and then the centers are actually, it's an old Fisker's punch that I had. And I think it made perfect flower centers for all of these flowers. But I loved all of the flowers, and so you can see I just did a little bit of shaping, not too much on them, and just kind of layered them up. But again, these are, they're the Crafter's Companion floral dies where they did the 3D florals, and they had like the sweet pea and hydrangea and a bunch of different kinds of flowers. And they had like 3 sizes of dies, and then they had 2 or 3 sizes of templates to make larger flowers. And these are all from the templates. And I'll show you what I did. I traced around them because I did some leaves too. So I just traced around them, the template, onto a piece of white paper. I scanned it into my Scan and Cut, and then I duplicated them and I cut them all out with my Scan and Cut because I don't like to cut with scissors from the template. It's way too much work and I'm not good at it. And look how good a job that did. The Scan and Cut is truly amazing. I do the same thing with the template library. You can draw around it, scan it in, and then use your scan and cut to cut it out. And then you don't get any lines on it. You don't get any pencil marks on it. And you get a perfect cut every time. So love my scan and cut. I'm going to use some foam tape to give a little bit of dimension. And I'm just going to start layering in flowers. I'm going to start with the biggest ones and then go to the smallest. And I'll see how many of these I use. Now for stems, I cut green strips of cardstock. These are 1/2 inch wide. And I glued, and this cardstock, it's the same as this green cardstock. And it's, I don't know, it's like 80-pound cardstock. It's really not very sturdy. So I glued like 3 pieces together to give you, so that, I mean, because see, now it's sturdy compared to, you know, one sheet and the flowers just were like, they just tipped over. So I'm going to use those stems, and I've got a couple different heights of stems. So we're going to start with my biggest flowers and put those in the back and glue it onto a stem. And then you can glue them to the actual back of the vase, as well as to, as long as you know, are careful. Like if you're gluing to the vase, don't get it on the corner and don't put it somewhere where it's going to interfere with the folding mechanism. But you can glue it to the back of the vase, and I'm definitely going to do that with some of these. I think this one's going to be even bigger than the other one. I'll lay that down so you can maybe see a little bit better. Okay, I'm just going to turn the camera off while I finish decorating this, and I'll be back with you in a bit. All right, I'm all done decorating, and here's what it looks like. I love the way it looks. My bow is still, I put a bow on with 3D glue gel, and it's kind of sliding because it needs to lay down. But let me look at it from the top. And from the side. And it will fold flat. It's big though, so it will fold flat, but I mean, you can see how big that is, so you're going to need to put a box or something if you wanted to send it to someone. You can make it smaller, but I love the way that looks. So this one's even bigger than the original. Let me get the original in here. I'll be able to see them side by side. So that's the original one, and there's the new one that I just made. I love that. So pretty for spring, for a home decor piece or whatever. And you could use whatever flowers you wanted. You could use tulips for spring, or you could put sunflowers in it if you wanted to do fall. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And hope you make one yourself. Thanks. Bye. Thanks for watching.